Well, welcome back again. We had a long day at the movie theater down in Hollywood at the Cinerama Dome. We saw Lawrence of Arabia at 1:30 in the afternoon, and then we stuck around and caught a screening of Vertigo at 6 o'clock, about a half hour after Lawrence ended. So we've been in the theater all day long, and we're ready to talk. So I've seen Vertigo many times, and it's a beautiful film experience. It's one of those Hitchcock films that just looks incredible, and there's so many elements to it that are fantastic. But this was Amanda's first time to see the movie. So, what was your first impression?
Well, I guess I kind of was looking for some things because it is Hitchcock, and we talked about it afterwards how even though you're looking and even though you know that something's going to be coming because he does that, the ending still surprised me. And I'm really lucky that the first time I saw Psycho, I was unaware of what the twist was at the end, and I remember you telling me a story about making sure that when we were in the toy store that we didn't go over to the section where they had the Norman Bates doll. So that
Action figures,
know.
yeah. So you wouldn't see it.
And so I was lucky enough with Psycho, and I was lucky enough with this film, even though I've come into contact with clips from it, and I've, seen documentaries and things about Hitchcock. And so I was surprised, I enjoyed it, and we talked about it in the last video that it's not really a happy ending kind of film.
No.
And Hitchcock doesn't really make very many feel-good films.
No. As a matter of fact, I can't think of any that in the long run you'd say, oh, that was fantastic. Everybody ended up happily ever after. I mean, there are movies where they survive and things look well at the end, but it's a pretty traumatic experience to go through a Hitchcock film.
Yeah.
The music from Vertigo is nearly as memorable as the music from Lawrence of Arabia is. I think every time we've gone to the Bowl in the summertime and they've done one of those movie nights, inevitably they play the theme from Vertigo, and I know that a couple of times we saw the transformation scene because they run the clip on the big screen where Kim Novak walks out of the bathroom and her hair has been dyed and she's wearing the gray suit, and you've got that green neon from the Empire Hotel shining in the window, and it's almost like it's a magic effect that's happening right there, and she walks out and comes into sharp focus, and the theme is just so beautiful and memorable that it's really impressive.
And I agree. I think, again, interesting that we saw two films today that have such iconic music associated with them, and I think that a lot of Hitchcock's films have that recognizable music, and I think there's even similar themes between them that kind of tie them back to being a Hitchcock film.
Bernard Herrmann is just incredible music, and I just love all the work that he does in films. And I'm trying to remember, I saw something not too long ago, a story about him, and it was, I think it was a TV series or something that he was scoring that also had the same kind of effect, but I can't remember what it is.
Wouldn't be the Norman Bates?
No, it's not. It's not something new. It's something that he had done when he was in that time period, and I can't quite remember what it was. Maybe he had done some Twilight Zone. That might have been what it was. Anyway, the movie, of course, stars Jimmy Stewart, and this is one of the darkest roles you're ever going to see Jimmy Stewart in. This poor man is screwed up bad. He's nearly killed at the beginning of the film. He's traumatized the rest of the film. He falls in love with a woman that he's supposed to be protecting. Bad things happen, and then it gets worse from there.
Yes.
And at the end, he's not a likable guy. He's not really the hero. It's just, like you said, a pretty sad story, and that's not a typical Jimmy Stewart part.
Yeah, that's true, and I don't even think I really thought about it that much when we were actually watching the film, but afterwards, talking about it right now, the fact that he isn't really likable at the end, and I think for me, I was so kind of caught up in the weirdness of what goes on that I didn't even really think about that extra layer of like, ooh, yeah, he's creepy and a little, neurotic.
Yeah, and angry too.
And angry, yeah.
Yeah. And you're really right. This is a weird movie.
Yes.
I mean, the themes in it are weird. The story's weird. It's kind of creepy the way it builds up. It's a long, slow build up too. It takes a while to get to the meat of the story, but it's not one of those things that you'd say, well, I didn't enjoy it because it was really interesting.
Yeah, it was really, really good, and I think that's one of the things about Hitchcock is that even though it may not be pleasant, and even though it may not pleasant all the time, or even though it may not end on a happy note all the time, at least it is interesting, and you do actually care about the characters. Even though he gets weird at the end, you feel for him, and you know why he's that way. And I think that's something that really works with that.
Mm-hmm. I think this was another restoration print that they used.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if this was if this is the same person, but I saw the same name from Lawrence of Arabia and this.
It could easily be on the restoration.
Robert Harris.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and so
they did the restoration on that too.
I'm sure it was the same person. Yeah.
I have a copy of Vertigo on Laserdisc that includes a happier ending, and they did not include that in tonight's screening. I tell you what, it ends on a pretty dramatic note, and that last shot is pretty haunting.
Yeah. I actually didn't realize that it was going to end there. I thought it was going to go a little further, and I was going, oh my gosh, this is going to be really depressing.
So it was only that depressing as opposed to that depressing.
Yeah.
And let me see. There's just one of the things I was mentioning to her is it's kind of cool to see movies like that. Vertigo came out the year I was born, 1958, and that's what San Francisco looked like when I was born. And they have so many shots where Jimmy Stewart is driving around San Francisco, and you're seeing the way the streets look and the bars and the hotels, and that's all pretty much you can still see the city there when you go to San Francisco, but it looks just a little bit differently. And of course, there's a heck of a lot more parking in 1958 than there is right now.
Yeah.
And Hitchcock shot the city in a way that makes it look fantastic. Did you recognize the Art Palace and Museum? Because that's pretty much where we were when those sprinklers went off.
Oh, I thought it looked familiar.
When the kids were little, we went up to San Francisco for a week, and we went to several art museums and things there, and there was they were taking our picture, and they were probably 8 and 9 or something, like 7 or 8, something along those lines, and they pulled a big joke on us because they had us posing for the picture, and my wife and I didn't know, but the sprinklers were running behind us, and they waited until and they said, oh, one more second, let me get this just right, and then they waited until the sprinklers sprayed us.
Yes.
And it was right there in the spot right in front of the museum that you see where she keeps going to look at the picture of Carlotta.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen High Anxiety? That's the Mel Brooks.
Yes.
The Mel Brooks movie, of course, High Anxiety is a takeoff on all the Hitchcock films, and you've got Spellbound, and you've got Psycho, and I'll tell you what, this movie, Vertigo, is a big part of High Anxiety. I mean, High Anxiety and Vertigo, that's the same sort of thing. So it might be a good movie to pair them with, next time we think about it, we watch Vertigo and High Anxiety at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about, I don't remember High Anxiety very well, but I'm just thinking, the name itself, Mel Brooks, and I'm already laughing.
Yeah.
That's clever.
We watched the last half of The Producers today before we went to the movies, so it was a good day. It was a good day. We got a lot of that kind of stuff in.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I think you pretty much covered it. Again, I'm so happy that we live in a place where we can go and do these things, and that they do them at such a theater.
Yeah.
I mean, well, and just talking about that theater, and I love telling the story of Sunset Boulevard, where we went and saw it, and then drove up and saw the apartment where he lived in the movie.
Yeah,
and
Joe
it's
Gillis.
right up the block, and I love that we live in a place like that. And
That kind of stuff is going on.
first time I get to see Vertigo, I get to see it in the Cinerama Dome. I mean, that's really cool.
That is pretty cool. Pretty good. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this little trip down nostalgia lane with Vertigo. Who knows what we'll be seeing next, but I'll probably be writing it up instead of posting it as a video blog. But I'll tell you what, we will be posting more video blogs in the future. I hope you come back, and I hope you enjoyed our visits. Thanks very much for coming by.